Good evening and welcome to Generation Movie on a Monday night. My name is J.W. Colwell. I am joined as always by my good friend and partner in crime on this podcast, Rich Drees. Rich Drees, how are you, my brother, my friend?
I'm doing okay until I had to watch this. No,
Yes.
We will get into this movie, which I have kind of mixed feelings on, honestly.
Yeah, mixed feelings? You have mixed feelings? There's nothing mixed. There's nothing mixed, man. Like it. Although I will say we're going to talk about something that's going to make me uncomfortable later. How I think this movie impacts my favorite director, because I think this movie this might be the root cause. This, like, we're going to get into it in Legacy, but this
I know.
The root cause of the schmaltz.
Just for a taste of what I don't like about this movie, well, one of the things that kind of just jumped out to me, you're having, okay, if you haven't figured it out, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the greatest show on earth, winner of Best Picture in 1953 at the 25th Annual Academy Awards. And it's generally regarded as one of the lesser of the good Academy Award Best Picture winners.
Look at how happy they are with this ad, though. Look at how the clown is holding the fucking Oscar.
Yes,
the clown is holding the Oscar, Rich.
That is Jimmy Stewart. That's Jimmy Stewart's clown, and we know what he's about if you've seen the movie.
Well, that's right. Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. But what I want to say is,
before we do, I do want to just point out that for a movie about the glamour of showbiz in a circus, where everybody has these great exotic names, who's your big star female aerialist? Phyllis, the great Phyllis.
So a couple of things. One, every year we try to do some Oscar Best Picture winners leading up to the Academy Awards. It's Academy Award season around here. We love the Oscars like nobody's business. It's the greatest. Mm-hmm. We enjoy it. We love the Oscars. The Oscars are coming up. We're super excited. Couple things. Got to get business out of the way first. If you like the show, like, find, subscribe on Facebook, Indie Escape Network, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram. I think we're on Instagram tonight. All those places. Please like and subscribe. But
MySpace.
This year we're going to do a little differently. Usually the Oscar Decade Cavalcade, the movies have something in common. But this year we're going to tell you what they have in common. And the common thread through these are the most widely viewed egregious errors in Academy Award history is the best way to describe it. Because we're going to add, we usually do production, box office, critical reviews, and legacy, but we're also going to add something to the show this week and for the rest of the Oscar winners that I've come up with. What did this movie beat in 1952? And when I tell you the movies this movie beat, first off, you'll realize it was very much a political situation. And secondly, you'll realize that even if it wasn't a political situation, they had three better choices.
And there was one film that's better than this by leaps and bounds that
isn't even nominated. Yes,
I know. It's
oh my god, we're gonna get into it. I have one movie that wasn't even nominated for Best Picture that is now widely considered one of the greatest movies about Hollywood ever made. So
it's a far better show business movie than this thing is.
Yeah,
but anyway,
we're not gonna pull any punches. This year's Oscar Decade Cavalcade is all about movies that won. Old men being cranky. Movies that won that maybe shouldn't have won. And we're not even going to do one of them because we both hate the movie so much that we don't want to watch it again. So we'll talk about that later as well. But I do want to get to other business. We have a big show coming up tomorrow night in Generation on Loud and Nerdy. Big show. We are having the cast and the crew, almost 8, anywhere from 7 to 8 people from this movie called Last Known Location, Danny Donnelly's directorial debut, that is killing it on the independent thriller charts on Tubi, Prime, Favesome, Fandango at Home, Roku, all those places, Plex, YouTube, Pluto TV. You can get it everywhere. We're going to have the director, we're going to have the writer and star of the movie, and we're going to have most of the cast of this movie tomorrow night. It's going to be an all-in effort. We're super excited to have Danny and the Last Known Location folks. So that's tomorrow night on Loud and Nerdy. But tonight we have to get to the news. You want, Rich? I'm gonna give it up to you, and then we'll check comments, and then do you want to do good news or bad news first?
I think I know what the bad news is that we're going to be talking
the bad
about.
news sucks.
Let's lead off with the good news, because we can go to the bad news. And I think the thing that I sent you earlier today that you
absolutely
said you would
is a great way to end when we get
there. It's a great way to segue to the main part of the show.
The next thing. Joe Ridgely, good evening. Okay, so good news. Well, actually, good news. The box office is roaring back. This movie did pretty well this weekend. It grossed somewhere around $32.8 million. We'll know how much more it grossed today, the President's Day holiday. We'll know a little bit more then. That movie did very well. Goat, the kids movie, did $27.2 million. Another great showing for the Sony animation crew. And then we had a bunch of other little successes like Crime 101, right? Crime. And we this movie here, right? Crime 101 did pretty well. And then this, in very limited release, which I think is the best movie of the weekend, is Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Fantastic. So the box office is a little bit up. It's up 8%, but it's not like last year where we had Captain America that grossed about $60 million. So it's nowhere near there. But Wuthering Heights, okay. So this might be bad news. It was okay. First half, Margot Robbie is great. Second half, Margot Robbie doesn't really have a lot to do except cry and be pregnant and bang Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi is really good. Like, I think you couple this with Frankenstein, you get an Oscar nomination, you get to this, where I think most of the people are going to see it because of him and, no shirt and like just looking Heathcliffy, right? I think it could be his year where he breaks from the pack of Netflix teen heartthrobs. You know what I mean? Like, I think could be his year. The movie's okay though; it's not great, and I would argue that most of the people who were looking for a real adaptation are probably going to come off not super happy, right? But the theater was they were goosed and they were excited and they were watching it. And although the score coming out of it's not great, audiences are not overly reacting to it. Goat had the animated movie, Rich, had a rare cinema score of A. Now, I don't know if that's just people not having any goddamn kid movies to see, or this animation studio, this Sony animation studio is onto something really. They're cooking, right? They're absolutely cooking with gas. They have Mitchell versus the Machines. Then they have the 2 Spider-Man Across the Universe movies. Then they have K-pop Demon Hunters. Then they have Goat. So it could be the birth of a really good animation studio in the wake of, Disney kind of like not being able to land anything that's not a Pixar sequel, right? Or a sequel in general. And, the Sony Animation's making these original movies that are finally getting released to theaters.
And what was the drop? speaking, not just the new
Oh,
movies.
this is a good story as well.
Let's get to what my man Sam was up to.
Well, okay, so Send Help had a 3% drop. It ends up at 3% from last week. So it grossed like 10 million last week. It started off with like 18 million, then it grossed 10. Now it's at 8.8. It's at 47. Send Help is at 47 million, 49 million domestic, 24 international, 73. It only costs about 40 million to make. So it's quickly kind of generating buzz, becoming one of the bigger hits of the year. And once it gets to streaming, Rich, it will become
a 3% drop from your second to third weekend is insane. That doesn't happen. It's usually like another 40 or 50%.
The last time we were even close was Sinners last year, where Sinners kept, like, instead of dropping, it was like going up 1 or 2% every week. The word of mouth kind of built on it. I don't think Wuthering Heights is going to last. I think Wuthering Heights is very much a open week, but Goat has about 3 weeks of nothing opening until Hoppers, the Pixar movie that's coming out in March. I think Goat has a real shot to kind of stick it out like Migration, or stick it out like, some of the other movies before we get to the big guns that are waiting March, April, May. Because we do have some big guns.
Hail Mary, baby.
Project Hail Mary. Yeah, I don't want to see any more trailers of Project Hail Mary.
I'm getting so psyched for that.
I think the movie's going to be great, but I don't want to see anything else. I just, like, the trailer is so well cut, basically. Then you realize the track that's backing the trailer is the Prince song "I Would Die for You," which is like it blows your mind how great it is. But like I said, this is a good momentum building, getting into out of the February and January doldrums into the March, April, May months before summer launch. We got Scream 7 coming in 2 weeks. That looks like it's going to be very big, especially for Scream fans, of which I am definitely a Scream fan. I was there opening day for Scream 1 in a theater with my friend Andrew. All the people from the play were supposed to show up, but nobody showed up. So it was just me and him. And we came out of it going, fuck them. They shouldn't have slept in. But yeah, so...
And then in May, we've got Star Wars Mandalorian and Grogu getting a full trailer for that dropping tomorrow.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Some people I've heard been like, oh, this just looks like season 4 of the show, and I didn't really like season 3. Do you feel any excitement for this outside of our own stupid little bubble, or what's your feel on the vibe about this?
Okay, so the vibe is that here's the issue. Here's what I think you're feeling, and here's what I think people are feeling. It's a show. They are transitioning the show to movies. That is not always a safe, nor is it a easy bet, right? So I think what you're feeling is people are nervous because The Mandalorian and Grogu are something that they like, that Star Wars has produced in the last 10 years, where there's really no question that it's good, and that it's good Star Wars, and that we like the characters, and everybody they've kind of, IG-88 and they've done a lot of good things, right? I think where people are nervous is they don't know how, what if they don't transition it well? What if it plays like a series of vignettes that are not connected? It's not a movie. I think that's where
the episodic kind of a thing.
Right, but the thing is, the funny thing there is that's what Star Wars is. So it's I think it's nerves about taking something we really like off of television and instead reconfiguring it to movies and TV. we have not seen how different they are since the last 20 years, right? We've had some great
television has become much more cinematic.
Right, and television has also become
you could say that even started in the 80s with something like Miami Vice or Moonlighting.
Yeah, long form. It's become long form storytelling that movies never really had to compete with. You know, my dad in the 70s and 80s, and I know you were in the same boat as I am. My dad would be like, TV actors don't go to movies and movie actors don't go to television. Now it's interchangeable. And I think what that is that television is caught up, and also it's a different way to storytell. And the Mandalorian and Grogu's success has come from that, where they've had 10 hours of television to tell one season story. I think that's where people are nervous. I don't think you make this transition though without knowing what the fuck you're in for. Like I can't see Disney, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm eternally optimistic. I can't see Disney killing this particular golden cash cow. I think this little guy is far too valuable for them to botch this. Do you know what I mean?
It's not a case of them botching it. It's a case of the public being excited about it.
Yeah, and
I kind of feel more excited. Honestly, I feel more excited about Starfighter because it's new and it's different than I am about. I'm excited to see Mandalorian and Grogu. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but and I have a feeling that tomorrow is probably going to have at least one or two.
I think
reveals in the trailer that'll be like, oh, okay.
Can I also give you the idea that the Super Bowl trailer didn't land, and I thought it was funny as hell. I thought
enjoyed it too, but I have seen a lot of people going, "This was the worst marketing mistake since New Coke."
I was like, I understood what they were going for. I remember the Clydesdale ads from the 70s, 80s, 90s, where the Clydesdales would go tromping down the snow and delivering their kegs of beer. I understood the joke, but I think people were kind of hoping for 30 seconds of what's in the movie. So I think
and they're also kind of bummed
it's a compounded error.
New footage from Avengers,
Yeah, I think it's a compounded error.
Kind of so
right, and I think it's a compounded error where people were nervous. People were nervous before because they're nervous about the transition, and then secondly, I think people saw that trailer and went, "What the fuck are we doing? Like, what the fuck is happening here? You're giving us a concept trailer that's making fun of Clydesdales with tauntauns? What the fuck?" Right? I think that's what's going on. And so
maybe I like that. Maybe I like that 30-second spot because it has annoyed so many people.
Yeah, well, that's possible. But also, I thought one of the things I think people didn't get the joke, and once they didn't get what they want, like Star Wars fans are also fickle, Rich, that we have to talk about at some point. If they don't get what they want, they tend to get a little bitchy. They get hangry, like they need a Snickers bar. You know what I mean? And I think so. It's a compounded fracture where basically we're worried that you're taking something we really like out of its structure, putting it into something over here because you want to make money off of it. And we don't know that you're going to be able to do the transitional storytelling necessary to do a full Mandalorian and Grogu in 2 hours instead of 10. And when we go to get excited about it, you give us fucking tauntauns dragging a sled. And my wife looked at me and goes, "Is that going to be in the movie?" And I'm like, "I don't think so. It could be in the movie."
I would cackle myself silly laughing.
It would be incredible if it
turns out to be in the movie at some point.
But I don't think it is. So I think that's where the nerves come in. I think everybody's nervous because they love something and they're not necessarily, they still view it as Kathleen Kennedy ruining Star Wars. And in fact, this is Favreau and Filoni's first big, we're going to take The Mandalorian and Grogu and put it in movies. It's their first big gamble, right? So everybody's a little bit nervous. If we get there on May 25th, Rich, and it's good and it's great and it's everything we want out of Star Wars, it grosses $300 million and does way better than anybody expected. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay. Let's get to the bad news, the shitty news of the day.
Well, let's go through some of these comments and then do the bad news. Segue right to.
Yeah, that's good. Raven says, blah. Can't get Facebook link to work. Hi, guys. Greetings, you awesome gentlemen. Thank you, Ryan West.
Thank you for stopping by, Ryan.
Wuthering Heights, toxic as fuck, but it would be a beautiful movie, although I wish the director would have went in a different contemporary direction. Yeah, I think people wanted a bodice ripper. They got a bodice ripper. I would also argue to anybody, the stuff is steamy, but I was watching it going, I don't see an R rating. Like, there's not a lot of skin.
Everything I've heard about the movie so far makes it sound like it's an airport novel of a movie.
I think a Wuthering Heights and the Van Clues perhaps in the 87 would have been really fun, but I'm going to wait till it's a streaming for this chick flick. Fair, Raven. Finally, bad to find Joe's live link to the chat to work. Laugh, sigh. Give us Jar Jar laugh out loud. Toy placement. It's the 80s again. Out loud. No.
Raven, last week, a one-shot Jar Jar Binks comic was released by Marvel, co-written by Ahmed Best himself. I've read it. It's not so bad. It takes place during Order 66.
Jesus
and
Christ.
Yeah.
Is he a Sith, Rich?
Right before Order 66. Kelleran Beck is part of the thing. The other character.
Is he a Sith? Is Jar Jar a Sith?
No, Jar Jar is not a Sith. He actually does something that helps long range to set up the rebellion. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, it's a nice bit of
a win for Jar Jar.
Yeah,
laugh out loud, not so bad. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I think the nervousness for Mandalorian and Grogu is that they're taking something that's worked, they're putting it in something that hasn't theoretically worked for fans, even though a movie grosses $1 billion, which like Star Wars fans are still like, that's not enough, it's not good enough. And then we move on.
I'll be happy if this movie. I'll be happy if Mandalorian and Grogu goes over 600 million.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
I'm kind of targeting it.
It sounds reasonable. I also think that's a new goal. Like, I think our $1 billion movie days are kind of in a wane unless it's something really, really specific and big.
I think Hail Mary could. If it catches fire.
I told you that. I told your
Avengers is going to be.
I told you when I saw the Project Hail Mary trailer, I'm like, this could be one of the ones of the year because Gosling's great in the trailer and Rocky is. I mean,
I'm kind of in an optimistic space mood right now.
We have elections coming up in November.
Optimistic.
Yeah, everything's optimistic. Everything's coming up roses.
The new season of For All Mankind is coming up on Apple TV Plus. I can't say what I thought about it, but I have seen about the first 8 out of the 10 episodes of the season, and it's really if you've enjoyed the previous 4 seasons of For All Mankind, and if you haven't, I do recommend checking it out.
You didn't say that out loud, too loud.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the bad news so we can get to the other bad news, which is we have to talk about the greatest show on earth.
Which is even worse.
The bad news of the day is that we lost this man today. This is Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall is one of the greatest actors of his generation. You're going to hear a lot of this role, Tom Hagen in The Godfather, which, by the way, he steals every single fucking scene he's in. Every single one in The Godfather. And he's not playing with semi-pros. the people he's stealing from are
the All-Star team.
Yeah, he's stealing from James Caan. He's stealing from Al Pacino. He's stealing from Brando. He steals every scene he's in as Tom Hagen, the consigliere for the Corleone family. You're going to hear about that. You're also going to hear about this because it is one of the most widely quoted things in the history of film. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. So his role in Apocalypse Now. But he had so many other roles where you look up and you don't realize how good someone is until they're gone. And the one that I remember more than anything, because it played on HBO in a loop, Rich, the one I was thinking about the most today was The Great Santini. Which is this, he was nominated for an Academy Award. It's this 80s family drama about a military family and the father and son who are at odds. And it's just, he's brutal and he's a military man and he's also so tough on his family and his kids. But he's fantastic in the role and you want to root for him. But he's such a bastard in the movie that you end up rooting for the kid to punch him in the face, right? He was, if you look at his career, Rich, he never really had a down period, right? He started out professional.
And what I liked is he could also just kind of do anything he wanted. He would do things like The Godfather, and then he'd turn around and he'd be in the Nick Cage remake of Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah,
which is
actually
very much B-movie material.
The Godfather stories you hear after the fact, Duvall didn't come back for Godfather Part 3, and there was a big story about why aren't you coming back? And he's like, first off, why are we making a sequel 15 years after the first two movies? And secondly, they're paying Al Pacino 5 times my rate. Fuck that. Point blank. Fuck that.
Can't blame him.
I'm an Academy Award winner. And he won an Academy Award for Tender Mercies in 1983. It is a fantastic performance. One of the reasons he won the Oscar for that movie, Rich, was because he sang all of the songs. It's a country western singer movie, and he sang all of the material himself. It's one of the rules of winning an Oscar, right? It's you have to be able to, sing if you're going to play a singer. He made his film debut as Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird in 1962. He developed I'm sorry?
Where are you guys at on Loud Nerdy on your Twilight Zone watch? What season are you in?
We are mid-season 3.
Okay, so you're going to be relatively soon coming up on his season 4 Twilight Zone episode, Miniature.
Yes, we've already had Redford's, which is really, Redford's coincided with his death, playing death. Redford's came up right around the same time. We're gonna get Duvall probably by the end of the year, because we have 14 episodes left in season 2, and then we don't have that many episodes left in season 3 actually. So we'll get to season 4. But so he's great. He was great on everything. You start out in television. He also was in THX 1138 that not a lot of people talk about. He was Major Frank Burns in MASH before MASH went to television. A different kind of portrayal of Frank Burns, not as funny, more malevolent. You know what I mean?
I mean, I could see why they had to soften the character for TV.
Yeah, oh my God. He's such a prick in that movie.
Larry Lindsdale did wonderful work, but it's not the same character that Duvall is doing here in the Altman film.
Francis Ford Coppola once said he's one of the 4 or 5 best actors in the world. Duvall returned to Broadway. He was in American Buffalo for David Mamet, premiering that on Broadway. He won the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Actor in a Play, and he said, "I hope this gets me better film roles." And then in the 80s, he did a bunch of like really cool, excellent movies. True Confessions, which is a fantastic 80s movie, with him and De Niro. He was in The Natural. He was in Colors with Sean Penn. Tender Mercies in 83 as country singer Max Sledge. So he did a lot of the things that he really wanted to do. And then in 89, we were talking about how movie stars went to television, television stars became movie stars. In 89, he does Lonesome Dove, right? He plays Gus McCrae in a retired Texas Ranger. He called it his favorite role that he ever had, right? He won a Golden Globe. He won an Emmy nomination, right? And then that became one of his roles. Later on, he declines to be in The Godfather Part 3. He does a movie called The Apostle in 97, which is about an evangelical preacher, which gets him some Oscar nominations. He also directs that movie, I believe. So it's like he wrote and directed The Apostle. He was in a Civil Action. So he was in a lot of movies. He was in Gods and Generals, Robert E. Lee. And then he's in a bunch of other like things. He was in
Newsies.
Well, I was going to say Days of Thunder. In the 90s, he does Days of Thunder, Rambling Rose, Newsies, Falling Down, Wrestling Ernest Hemingway.
Joseph Pulitzer, who the Pulitzer Prize is named after.
Yes. He does The Paper, Phenomenon, Something to Talk About, and Sling Blade, and Deep Impact. So, like, he does all these movies in the 90s. When he gets to the 2000s, he's got A Shot at Glory, The Sixth Day, John Q, Gone in 60 Seconds, Open Range, which, if you're a Western fan, I cannot recommend Open Range enough. I think it's one of the more underrated Westerns. It's him and Kevin Costner, and it's really good. It's a really great Western. And so, he had a really long career. Yeah, he did Kicking and Screaming, so he had a comedy. He was in Secondhand Lions. He was in Lucky You, which is a great poker movie. He was in We Own the Night, Get Low, 7 Days in Utopia. He was also in the Jack Reacher movie, right? He then did a bunch of TV movies. Played Joseph Stalin in the 92 television film Stalin. He was Adolf Eichmann in The Man Who Captured Eichmann. He also then went back and did an AMC miniseries called Broken Trail. Finished up his career opposite Robert Downey Jr. in The Judge, where he got a Academy Award supporting actor for the role. He was the oldest at the time. He was the oldest actor ever nominated for a supporting actor award. And then he finished up with Hustle and the Pale Blue Eye, which is about Edgar Allan Poe. He was just a really good actor, like with longevity and roles that defined him. And today you're going to hear Academy Award winner Robert Duvall passed away, and you're going to hear star of The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, but he's so much more than that. And and this, Rich, I had read the exact same thing. You sent it to me and I was going to bring it up, but this is what his wife put out that were part of his last wishes, which is, in keeping with Duvall's wishes, no formal service will be held. Instead, the family encourages those who wish to honor his memory to do so in a way that reflects the life he lived by watching a great film, telling a good story around a table of friends, or taking a drive in the countryside to appreciate the world's beauty. Can you get any more poetic and amazing? Don't waste time on my funeral. Go watch a good fucking movie, talk to your friends, take a drive, and enjoy some grass. It's pretty
I dare
great.
say, without trying to make it about us, this show is like sitting around a table and talking with good friends
Yeah,
about movies. So
about movies, and sometimes we watch really good movies, and sometimes we don't. And tonight, like, I one of the things I think I'm going to do after the show tonight, I was looking where I could find Tender Mercies. I was also looking where I could find. I've never watched Lonesome Dove, so I think I'm gonna, as an honor to Robert Duvall, sit down and plow through that because I like westerns, and maybe Open Range. I own Open Range, so I think I might. I love Open Range. I think Open Range is a fantastic movie, but he was such a good actor. 95 years old, had longevity, worked with the best in each of his generations. Right? And like I said, if you go back and you do watch The Godfather, or you watch Apocalypse Now, every scene he's in those two movies, he fucking steals. Everything. He steals. Every scene he's in is Tom Hagen. The scene with him and James Caan, where he's like, maybe we shouldn't do that shit, Sonny. Maybe we shouldn't overreact. And like he chisels Caan right down to the fucking nub in front of Brando. It's the stuff of legend, right? And it only gets funnier that he didn't come back for Godfather Part 3 because they didn't want to pay him. And it's like, I'm an Academy Award winner. I should get paid. Yes, you should. Let's do some comments, and then we'll talk stuff.
Move on to the greatest show on earth.
Jesus
Our
Christ.
show.
Duvall season 4, Twilight Zone, yes. Joe Ridgely, shower scene with Robert Downey Jr. was very powerful. That's a good movie. That's an underrated movie. He's very good in that movie as a judge with dementia. Raven says, A Lonesome Dove, Apocalypse Now, Falling Down, The Apostle, everything. Thank you for smoking Newsies. It's just like line, so fucking good. Sling Blade, fuck you. Yeah, he has so many movies. I really enjoyed Falling Down too. Yeah. Yeah, and then, Secondhand Lions is underrated too. That's really a good movie. Lonesome Dove is available on Peacock and Tubi. I think that's where I'm going to head after this, although I know it's better than what we watch. Let's talk Oscar Decade Cavalcade. It's our favorite time of year. It's like the holidays for us. The Oscars are coming, Rich. We have a very contentious Oscar race going on right now between Sinners and One Battle After Another. It's very contentious, and it's by the same studio, so it's super contentious. But we're going to do some Oscar movies that maybe shouldn't have won Best Picture. And that's like we're giving it away this year. Look at how happy this clown is, who's also a spoiler alert. It's almost 70 years after the fact. Spoiler alert: murdered his wife. Okay. Yeah. Production. So when you're looking at this movie, the movie came out in 1952. Production is
first half of the year of 51.
Right. It's shot almost entirely in Sarasota, Florida. Locals were paid 75 cents to be extras. One of the great casting stories is Lucille Ball was offered Gloria Graham's role, although that's a conflicting story that's been rumored and all kinds of things. But basically, she was offered Gloria Graham's role, but she was discovered she was pregnant with Lucy Arnaiz's with her first child, Lucy Arnaiz. And DeMille was filming Ringling Brothers and Bailey Circus for a long time, and Ball could have been preparing I Love Lucy at the same time. So that's kind of one of those weird stories. Art Cancello was the general manager of Ringling Brothers. DeMille was traveling around with the circus, taking stock footage, also kind of like learning to be like the road life of a circus person. But he's a 70-year-old man in his 70s at this time. But he basically figured out all the ways he was going to shoot the movie by working with the circus performers. That's why you see a lot of the actors interacting with actual circus performers, like Cornel Wilde as the Great Sebastian. So like he was working with all these different people, and they were teaching him all the tricks of the circus, which I think
what's funny about Cornel Wilde playing the aerialist, the Great Sebastian, as opposed to Phyllis. Cornel Wilde was
Betty Hutton out of this.
Immensely afraid of heights, and he kind of willed himself to overcome it, to do a lot of the stunts you see 40 feet up in the air.
I think one of the interesting things about the movie is, can I make an admission today? I remember seeing this movie with my dad, but I didn't remember how this movie was until today. Like, for example, a lot of this movie is shot with the actors in the foreground, and in the background, it looks like it's stock footage that DeMille's been shooting for a year.
There are moments where it's definitely rear projection work. I'm thinking in one of the pageantry sequences at the circus with the Marie Antoinette and her courtier women.
The one that
it just so stood out like a sore thumb to me.
It stands out really bad. I'll give you another example. Any of the scenes in Brad's tent or Brad's travel place where the actors are having scenes with Brad, with Charlton Heston. There is stuff going on in the background, and it is in a different, it's not three-dimensional. It's a screen. So it becomes very distracting. And the production on this movie is very much, DeMille is doing a documentary of this circus. And one
other really bad one right at the end that stood out was when they're doing the parade down the street and Betty Hutton is up on the
yes, oh my god,
and they have the close up of her singing,
when she's singing the circus song.
That stoplight just moves past her all on the background screen. It just looked like ass. I was like, God, that's awful.
Rich, it takes you out of the movie every chance it does it. Every time it does it, it takes you out of the movie. And I'll give you an example of like somebody who is not impacted as much by it. Jimmy Stewart looks like he's doing all of his work with actual people. Right? Jimmy Stewart's doing all of his work with, Emmett Kelly, actual clowns, actual little people. Like, he gets into it later when he, around the scene where they're, with the train crash and all this other stuff. But, like, the production is really wonky in that regard, where it's like, what is happening here, right? Hutton's stunt double was Lenormand Fox, also from Ringling Brothers and Barnum. So everybody was incredibly well trained. Hutton, in fact, became so proficient with the single bar that there is footage of her rehearsing 40 feet in the air, talking to Cecil B. DeMille, who had ridden to her height to go over the scene on a camera crane. And, it's shot, first off, I will say a couple things. When people say, what is a Technicolor movie? I will point them in the direction of this movie. The colors are so goddamn vibrant, Rich.
Was this a 3-strip Technicolor, or was this 1-strip Technicolor film?
I think it's 3-strip.
It's beautiful to look at, but I'm sorry?
I think it's 3-strip. Because, but like, it's just like, the costumes are good, but they're like, the funny thing about it is it didn't win any of the things where you're like, where you think it might have won. It won 2 Academy Awards, and it wasn't nominated for any of it because I think all the shit was real, Rich. Because it's like a fucking documentary that every once in a while breaks into a movie over here, and you're like, you know, I I was at a loss, like watching it. Like, you know, it was just one of those. It's beautiful. Like the Technicolor is lush and it's gorgeous. And it's, you know, but like something like that, that's the back of one of the scenes, right? And in the foreground are the actors in the movie who have to act with that shit going on behind them, and they're clearly not there. So they filmed for a year. DeMille traveled.
I think that's kind of the big problem with the movie, though. And you know, we'll get into
it
it more
is.
when we.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into it.
Two things kind of don't sit well together.
Well, it's like we'll get there. Let's talk about the next thing that's like well, let's get some comments. Hold on. I see you got onto the Facebook feed. Or sure, it's not your internet, it's Facebook. Okay, well that's good. Anyway, I think asshole. I've been conditioned or brainwashed by Rocky Horror. Yeah, Brad is Charlton Heston in this case. So no Barry Bostwick. Also, Rich, this movie was
one other thing too, and this goes to who this movie influences. Can you throw that picture of Heston back up?
Oh yeah, no, I know. We're gonna get there. Hold on, which one? That one? That one?
Not so much that one, but the other one.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fedora, crown brim fedora, snap down, leather jacket. It's the very similar look to what he has. My question to you, Rich,
is it this or is it Secret of the Incas?
That's what I was going to say. This looks very much like Secret of the Incas. Incans, which is very much acknowledged.
Very much like a guy behind me right now.
On Steven Spielberg for Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's very much it. They actually, I read something about it today, where Spielberg actually said, "I want him to look like Charlton Heston in Greatest Show on Earth, Charlton Heston in Secret of the Incas, and then you do something with what you want to do." To the costume designer on Raiders, which, you know, anyway, that's why I'm wearing it tonight.
Honestly,
Rich, I can't put into words, like, that's production side, right? I can't put into words. This movie is a huge
one other thing about the production. One other thing. You know, we briefly talked about how everybody was kind of trained in their character's actual circus act and everything. The one scene where Cornel Wilde's character lifts up Betty Grable to give her a kiss while they're on the trapeze.
Betty Hutton
actually wound up, or Betty, yeah, I'm sorry, Hutton. He actually wound up tearing some ligaments in his shoulder. And they shot it a couple of more times before he was just like, guys, I just can't do this. And then he trundled off to the hospital, and they shot around him for the next couple of days until he was able to come back. Yeah, but again, that's because they were out there doing their own, basically Jackie Channing it and doing their own stunts.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest. Betty Hutton and Cornel Wilde and the people doing the character work in this movie, you know, Jimmy Stewart looks like he's having a blast as Buttons the Clown, which, by the way, is the name of the episode tonight, the Buttons the Clown episode. He's having a blast hanging with Emmett Kelly and playing with the other clowns and just hanging with a dog. And just, yeah, James Stewart looks like he's having a blast. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it never has a movie, well, we'll talk about it. Box office, Rich. This movie was gangbusters.
Mm-hmm. And this is the only reason I can think of why this got Best Picture.
Well, I mean, there's one big reason why it got Best Picture, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Production budget's $4 million. It grosses $36 million in 1952 dollars. Gets re-released a bunch of times. Although one of the things I was reading that was super interesting, it got re-released to theaters and people would go see it in theaters, but when it played on television, it never did well. Like the ratings for it on television, and all I could think of was it's a diminished movie on TV. Right? It is the type of movie that in 1952 or in the 60s that if it was playing at your local theater, you go see it because it's a big, loud, huge spectacle. Mm-hmm. But not having the TVs we have now, if you're watching The Greatest Show on Earth on a Saturday matinee in 1965, not the spectacle that you're thinking of.
And I can see that, especially when you consider probably in the 60s, most homes still had just black and white TVs, as our friend Tom told us last week. It wasn't until the 66, 67 season that the networks went full color with their entire schedule. And
can you imagine watching this movie in black? Rich, can you legit imagine watching this movie in black and white? I can't.
No, it's going to look like mud. And there's a lot of long, wide shots that look great on a big screen. But if you slam them down to like at best a 27-inch, black and white TV,
I can't even imagine it. And I would argue that that's going to be part of the legacy of the movie because it never catches on with television audiences. For whatever reason, it never becomes endearing, right? It never becomes an endearing property. We'll get there.
And it's funny because I wrote a note here. Would I have liked this movie more if it was in widescreen, if they waited just a few years to make it and once widescreen technology had hit? Would this have been a better movie?
No. Okay. Critical response then and now.
You think it's fundamentally flawed at the script level?
I think it's fundamentally flawed in the concept of I think it's flawed in the concept that we're watching a circus, and every time a circus breaks out, DeMille is cutting to things that are not as fun as the circus. And they're melodramatic, and they're over scripted, and they're overacted. And so every time like we get something cool, like Jimmy Stewart and Emma Kelly doing a really great routine with a clown in a car, right? Mm-hmm. It cuts to Cornel Wilde and Betty Hutton having sexy chemistry and fucking around on the trapeze, and you're just like, and then as the movie progresses, one of the things that happens is you're just not like. The only storyline you can moderately buy into is Buttons, because Buttons is played by Jimmy Stewart.
I thought was underwritten.
It's incredibly underwritten, but you can at least be like there's stuff going on for him. The FBI guy's on the train, and Betty Hutton found that newspaper article, and there's at least stuff going on for his character, Rich.
Mm-hmm. But you never get an idea of where he doesn't say something like she wanted to die, or they make mention that the wife he supposedly murdered was ill and dying anyways, and so he never said anything like I was trying to save her and it went wrong.
I'm not saying it's well written.
I'm just saying killing. I'm
not saying it's well written. I will just say to you that I found his character endearing, and he appears to be the actor having the most fun, except for maybe Cornel Wilde, right?
I think Jimmy Stewart is the actor having the most fun on any set, because he just seems to be almost all of his work. He seems to be enjoying himself. Yeah,
he's a nice person, and he likes life. What I would say though, like I think so it's really a jarring movie because, like we were talking about. The background images don't match up to what's going on in the foreground with the actors. So that brings you out of it. And then the stuff isn't compelling enough to worry about. Like, there's a guy who's scamming people on the Midway. It's bleh. And he's put there by a crime lord that's played by Lawrence Tierney, who will later go on to give people cool names like Mr. Pink and Mr. Black and Mr. Blonde. And so it's like this weird thing where you're watching it, but like, I think it's also, I'm going to say this, I like Chuck Heston movies, but it's his least engaging role. He is one note, one dimensional. It is not good. It is like, it's like before he got the star injection. Like it's not a good performance. I think DeMille is enamored with the circus. And actually as I was watching it, I was like, this movie should be a fucking documentary. Like, just make a documentary.
But I would say Cornel Wilde is also just similarly one note in his performance.
Yeah,
he's a walking HR nightmare, and that's all he is.
Right, and nobody has anything to do. Betty Hutton is like, she's at best schizophrenic. Like, what do you actually want? Nobody knows. But like I said, the thing that kept on jarring me out of it. Like, I kept on, like, either I want to focus on the circus, or I don't want to focus on these people that are boring running the circus. And another thing that took me out of it a lot of the times, Rich, although the narration is done by somebody we all like, the narration is droning. It is
real.
This is the circus. The Hammers will build a cathedral to Jesus Christ. It is that violates the basic rule of show, don't tell. Don't tell.
Because they were showing it. We didn't need that. Just have some nice piece of music over that and just let us see how that comes along.
It's
and
mess.
how a circus
it is
goes
a
on.
mess.
We don't need.
It is a mess of a movie. And it's just one of those things where I think the stunts are fantastic. I think the actors doing real circus stuff is fantastic. I think the train wreck at the time was probably so far ahead of its time. It's like something you've never seen before, right? And it was
edited well together with the stuff with the car and everything. It was like, I found myself really being drawn into it, even though I go, yeah, there's a model car getting flipped there. But damn.
Yeah, well, yes, but at that moment, this is movie magic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the rest of it is just so monotonous and it drones. It sticks with a lot of the stuff, like the stuff that's celebrating the circus performers. Like the one that jumped out at me as like not particularly engaging, and the kind of thing I would get up to get popcorn at the concession stand at a real circus. Like there's a sequence where they're doing, I think it's lunchtime in lunchtime with the princesses or the queens or something.
Yeah.
And it's just this monotonous 10 minutes where they show the girls getting like a Bo Peep stick. And then the next thing is just them dancing in a circle. And it's meant to be Busby Berkeley style, but it's not good enough to be Busby Berkeley style. And so it's like Cecil B. DeMille is trying to do all these things, and it's just so fucking boring.
Always captivated by spectacle. Okay.
Yes.
And circuses at that time were just spectacle. Here's some exotic animals. Here's like these lovely women dancing.
You show people, yes.
Tricks,
but it never gets into it.
Stunts
it never
and everything that has no basic giant through line through the whole 2 hours or however long a circus show is.
It ascribes to be the backstage trappings of these weird circus folk, and it never gets going. It never heats up. Heston is not great. The love triangle, like Gloria Graham is the best. Like,
oh yeah,
she's the best thing in the movie. Like, Gloria Graham is fantastic as Angel. It's a weird. Like, I was looking at this today, Rich. This is one of the worst reviewed Best Pictures of all time. 42. We use Rotten Tomatoes as an aggregate. 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a whopping 53% from the popcorn meter, the audience. So not only do critics hate the movie, but people hate the movie too.
They're evenly split.
Well, yeah, but that's Pauline Kael, who I love. A
the
huge
Pauline Kael.
Oh my God. Yeah, just her vocabulary when ripping movies apart is one of the greatest things ever. A huge, mawkish, trite circus movie directed by Cecil B. DeMille in a neo-biblical style. Neo-biblical style. In 5 years, Rich, he's going to make the 10 Commandments. Like, surreal.
Well, he already did. He already made Ben-Hur once, and he's going to remake it again. He's going to make it again in a couple of years too.
It's not good.
One thing we kind of skipped over with production. There are cameos in this movie. They're not called cameos yet.
They're not called cameos. But here's the thing, Rich. I'm going to tell you right now, I watched this movie today. You picked them up and you got me pictures of them. I had shut off. There are so many shots of the goddamn people reacting. That's another, anytime there's tension on the high wires, I know it's done to get actors in and everything, but I also I was so taken out of the movie by people reacting. Oh my God, I wouldn't put my head there. Like, holy fuck. It's not good, Rich. But you sent me them, and I'm going to show you them.
But
here we are.
Let's bring up the biggest ones first. The biggest one. The two people.
The biggest one? Well, biggest two people?
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. I got to figure out which one that is. I think it's two. It is two.
Yeah, those two guys.
Yeah,
they hopped off the road to visit their friend Dorothy Lamour.
Yeah, they're here. And, they're in the crowd. But at the time, I'm sure it became a cool thing for people to watch the movie and see them. But Rich, I was so out of the movie by the time they were doing all these cut shots of the crowd. Some of them are boring. They're kids watching.
Well, some of them are just nobody actors. Every now and then, though, there were a couple the gentleman next to the little boy, the guy holding the ice cream. Bring him up.
Yep.
You might not know this face, but I guarantee you've heard his voice. That's Arthur Q. Bryant, the original voice of Elmer Fudd for the Looney Tunes. He passed away a couple of years after this, and that's when Mel Blanc took over the role. But Arthur Q. Bryant was, a comedian who did a number of voices for cartoons. But
and then this one is this is the person that's been reading the entire the narrative, the narration.
Edmund O'Brien from DOA.
From DOA. But Rich, the movie is already lost. It's incredible.
Also, there's Clarence Nash, who is the voice of Donald Duck, is in there somewhere. Van Heflin is running around during the train wreck sequence somewhere. I wasn't able to find him. I was just looking it up online. And Bing Crosby's brother Bob Crosby, who was a band leader for Jack Benny for a while, is somewhere.
Can I ask you a question? I put this clown up. Did you? I know we're in a weird time politically. Did you see the drag clown in the movie?
Yeah.
This clown right here behind Betty Hutton, he has full eyelashes and ladies' makeup. And it's, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, even in the 50s, kids, even the 50s, fuck.
And he gets called out for not wearing his eyelashes at one point.
Not being big enough. The eyelashes were not big enough in the last city we were in. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ.
Drag it up a little more, sweetheart.
The train sequence was great. I think there are things to hang your hat on, but like the script is so wonky and wobbly, and then the performances are like the performances aren't great, and you get the distinct impression that DeMille just wanted to be at the circus. Like that's what I took from it today. I was watching it, I'm like, he just really wanted to join the circus as a kid, maybe. You know, the animals are incredible. You know, there's a baby gorilla sequence that's cute. You know what I mean? Like, but for the most part, Rich, it's fucking brutal. It is not good. The stuff like.
Tell us how you really feel.
I didn't want to hate it, Rich. I really didn't. This is one of the reviews that I leaned into today when I was reading them. James Kendrick, who wrote this in 2021, the subplots are regularly interrupted by DeMille's extensive documentary footage of the circus, which would work much better if they were substantially shorter and therefore more clearly integrated into the drama happening on screen. That's exactly how I felt. That's exactly like either shoot a documentary or shoot a movie about the circus that has circus people in it that are like one of the most frustrating film experiences. And the idea that this movie won Best Picture is astounding. It's astounding.
Let's take a look at the slate for Best Picture.
Yeah. Oh God, the slate is fantastic.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay,
Ready?
First of all, high news. Yeah, I got it right here. I can run it off.
Oh, no, wait, stop. I have the posters. Let's go. Let's do from the back. Okay. Let's do from the back end. Let's do from the back end and give you an idea of like, this is, okay, wait, sorry, not that one. We'll get to there. This movie is one of the movies nominated. Ivanhoe, Robert Taylor, Elizabeth Taylor, Joan Fontaine, George Sanders. Fantastic Technicolor action movie. Really good. Lots of fun. Well done. Great. Then you have Moulin Rouge, Jose Ferrer, the original Moulin Rouge. Victory Films, very well done. Zsa Zsa Gabor, amazing, right?
Fantastic.
Here's where shit goes off the rails. So the other nominee is this movie, is Greatest Show on Earth, which will win Best Picture. And then the other two nominees at the time in the Oscars in the 50s, five nominees, Rich, as you know, whether or not you folks know who watch it. This is one of the nominees. Holy fuck, Rich. Holy shit.
Probably John Ford's best film.
Probably John Ford's best film. It's top two. And the other John Ford and John Wayne movie, they're both John Ford, John Wayne movies, right?
Circus.
Searchers and The Quiet Man, right? But The Quiet Man... But The Quiet Man, over the years, has become required viewing on St. Patrick's Day. It's beautiful to look at. Maureen O'Hara is great. John Wayne is great. Everything about it's great. The cinematography is great. The fight's great. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's in the top, 50 of all time, probably, give or take.
Probably, yeah.
And then the other movie that was... Oh, Jesus Christ. Is this movie, is High Noon, easily regarded as one of the 5 best Westerns of all time? Gary Cooper, waiting for a bunch of bad guys on a train. Holy shit. And then, Rich, then it gets wild. Because those are the 5 nominees for Best Picture. And then this movie is not nominated for Best Picture. Don't
even get me started. Singing in the Rain is one of my all-time favorites. By the way, did you get the thing I just sent you a little while ago right after we started in Messenger?
No, but I'll get it. I was
going to say, I'll vamp for a moment. Singing in the Rain is one of the all-time great films. It's a musical that not is a love letter to Hollywood, explores Hollywood's history, specifically around that period where they're going from silent films to the talkies, and it's a beautiful musical extravaganza. Uses a lot of songs from that era. It introduces us. It brings to the world Debbie Reynolds, one of the all-time great singing and dancing
it's such a good movie.
stars.
It is such a good movie.
Yeah, it's a Gene Kelly joint. Donald O'Connor is fantastic. Make 'Em Laugh is probably one of the top 5 musical performances of this era. Just the sheer physicality of it and everything. The film is right there. It says right there on the poster, beautiful, MGM Technicolor. And it is a stunning film. I saw it about a year and a half ago at the Academy Museum when I was in California. They had a brand new 4K restoration of the film, and that's the day when I was in California I chose to go to the thing. And this is a detail of a picture. I took this picture of the poster that they had hanging up outside of the Academy Museum Theater. If you can see, it's autographed by Gene Kelly himself, and I wanted to share that.
Yeah, I know, and we want to get it on.
If you ask somebody to name your top 5 musicals, if they don't have Singing in the Rain in the top 3,
we shouldn't be talking about musicals.
They're probably very medically defined as deaf and blind. They are Tommy because they just can't see and hear. What a wonderful, wonderful movie this is.
Well, and here's the thing.
I kind of caught you off guard with that.
Here's the thing. This is shocking to me. First off, I never even thought about the fact, like I get to Sing in the Rain not winning, right? But I didn't even think about the concept that Sing in the Rain was not nominated for Best Picture. And then, you watch it today and it's just, it's a winner. And then
it was only ever nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Jean Hagen, who's wonderful in it. I can't stand him. And Best Scoring for a Musical Picture.
Well, Rich,
how is that the only two things?
I would take those. I would take High Noon, The Quiet Man, and Sing in the Rain over this movie any day of the week. And that's where the legacy of this movie comes in. This movie in the last 10, 15 years, right? Okay, let's get a comment first. Hold on. Are there circuses that this movie could have even be remade? I mean, would you want to remake it? No, I don't want. You can't remake it as is. You can do a circus movie. You can do a circus movie.
Nightmare Alley is a circus movie.
Well, I was thinking about. I saw the one circus movie about the circus folk that I watched for the horror movie I watched. But the idea, you could do a circus movie, but it cannot be in this. This is a functionally illiterate movie. Like, it's this big monstrosity that is just lumbering from scene to scene. It's like the elephants in the movie. It's just lumbering. The legacy is that this has become widely regarded as top 3. There are articles that you read. Is this the worst Best Picture movie of all time? Right? And then you start getting, the legacy starts to get in, right? The legacy starts to creep in about the time frame.
But even DeMille, though, didn't think he was going to win.
No, he thought The Quiet Man or High Noon was going to win. But like I was saying, the legacy I want to get to.
So he agrees with us.
Yes. The legacy of this movie is that it comes out in the 50s at the height of the Red Scare. Right? So you have people actively in the background saying who felt that High Noon was a communist film.
Oh, it's all about hippie peacenik.
Yeah, who felt High Noon was a communist Western and you shouldn't vote for High Noon. And so I as I was reading it today, it's a twofold prospect on the legacy, right? So in one way, sometimes Hollywood misses honoring the people they should have honored. And so you can look at it that way, that they had DeMille. DeMille had made all these silent movies. Everybody in the Academy knew who Cecil B. DeMille was, that they wanted to give him an Oscar before he passed away, and that they wanted him to accept the Oscar, right? You could look at it that way, that there was an active campaign. We want to reward this guy that was a legend. And it's not
more
the greatest,
a lifetime award.
A lifetime achievement, yes. And it sometimes happens, right?
Yeah.
You and I have talked about it. It happens in the Academy Awards. But the other more convincing story to me is that because of the Red Scare and the McCarthy era, High Noon gets nixed. And people are told that if High Noon wins, McCarthy's going to look at Hollywood a lot worse. And McCarthy's going to come after us. And all you people in the Academy who vote for it are going to be labeled communists. And they're going to come after our industry. So don't vote for it. And my answer to that is, okay, then vote for The Quiet Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is something we're going to come back to again and again. I think,
yes,
the fact that the Academy Award isn't meant to bestow instant classic status on something necessarily, more so that it is to kind of just be a snapshot of that moment
year,
that you're in
that year.
And
it's up to the movies themselves to gain that status,
to become classic over time. That's just how the history and looking at these things just works. So obviously, so we can say, 70 years, almost 75 years later, what the hell were they thinking about not nominating Singing in the Rain? Whereas at the time, maybe people were like, oh, Singing in the Rain was good, but it's no Ivanhoe, because that's what they were thinking of, because they don't,
Right. The Academy, I love what you said. The Academy Awards are a snapshot, and it's up to the individual movies that win or don't win or whatever, the stories behind that year's race. It's up to the movies to achieve a greater status. We're going to have that this year, right? We're going to have the story behind this race between these two movies, where one is, I think, an instant classic that's going to be around for the rest of my life, right? And I think the other one is a good movie where it's a director that everybody really, really likes and really wants to reward, but it's not as good as the movie that's going to lose. And we have that happen. We've had it happen. Like Forrest Gump beat Pulp Fiction. And I need to remind everybody, not only did it beat Pulp Fiction, but Forrest Gump beat The Shawshank Redemption. So it happens. Yes, Annie Hall beats Star Wars. Crazy. If you really want to get into it, Gandhi beat E.T., and there's no way that should have happened. Also, 1981, Chariots of Fire is a great movie, but that song is just the Meatball song. I'm just now that you hear it, you can't unhear it. Chariots of Fire is great, but it's no this. It's no this. Yeah. So like, you're going to have that happen, but this is a rare occurrence where, aside from the fact that Cecil B. DeMille was a really good director in his past, there's nothing special about this movie at all.
No.
At all. Like, I know we spent a year with them, but the stuff looks just like a regular documentary you would see on PBS. You know what I mean? And then the actor, like, the plot gets bogged down in, like, there's too much circusing going on for the plot to actually achieve any status. And then other legacy that we need to talk about. This movie appears in The Fabelmans. I love Steven Spielberg. I was thinking about this real hard today as I was watching this movie. The biggest thing that happens with Spielberg is people say he's too schmaltzy. He's too melodramatic near the end of his films or whatever. Happens all the time. And for years I've defended it. And for years I just viewed it as Spielberg being Spielberg. But today, Rich, I have the epiphany. He got it from this goddamn movie, Rich. He got it from this movie. He got it from this movie. This movie tries to do everything. And in doing everything, doesn't work. Now, I'm not going to say that that Spielberg's movies are not good, because you'll never hear me say that. But what I will say to you is, I understand the criticism, and I accept it, and I've accepted it for a long time, that Spielberg, to me, will always have schmaltzy endings and will always be schmaltzy when he has to be. But now I find out it's a learned trait, Rich. I find out today that his defining characteristic is he saw this movie when he was a child with his mother, which we know from the Fabelmans, because he recreates the train crash, and the Fabelmans is based on his life. And so what I would say to you is, I blame Cecil B. DeMille. I wholeheartedly blame Cecil B. DeMille, Rich, and I will not hold Steven Spielberg accountable anymore. Also, we should point out that this outfit looks, and you brought it up earlier, this outfit looks remarkably like this outfit. But I think it's more Secret than the Anchors. But I was thinking about it today. I was like watching it going, the schmaltz done poorly is what you get with this movie, right? I don't think, I think people complain about the schmaltziness of, say, Saving Private Ryan, right at the end. Did I earn it? Right? People complain about it a little bit. But I would say that the schmaltz that Spielberg does in no way is as bad as the schmaltz in this movie. There's no way. So we have watched one of the greatest Best Picture winners that is not good ever today. I could not believe how long the movie felt like it was 5 hours.
I broke it up in half. I watched an hour and a half of it yesterday, and then the last hour.
I thank God for the nephews in my life who distract me and force me out of my viewing room to play Uno or something else, because I was banging my head against the wall and just going, does this movie get better? I'm like, well, the train scene's going to be coming up. And I know that Jimmy Stewart's going to get arrested. I remember Jimmy Stewart getting arrested. Spoiler alert. He is the mercy killer, and he is a murderer who's holding the Oscar.
Clown with a secret. Ooh.
Yeah, the clown with a secret. Everybody's got a secret in the circus. That's a fucking line in the movie, Rich. Also, I need to point out this movie. We should also point out that this movie won Best Screenplay. Wasn't called Best Screenplay at the time. It was called Best Motion Picture Story. Written by 3 fucking people, Rich. Frederick M. Frank, Theodore St. John, and Frank Cavett. And like I said, the weird thing about this movie is it's like a documentary with story grafted onto it. It's it's not good.
It's not. Like I said, though, I think there are some fun things in it, but overall, it's just
Emmett Kelly's great. I'm gonna be on. My grandfather was a huge Emmett Kelly fan. My grandfather was a firefighter, a florist, and he was a professional clown in vaudeville Scranton days.
Wow.
And there are pictures of my grandfather dressed as Emmett Kelly. So I was watching everything. I think Emmett Kelly steals every scene he's in this movie.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, not everyone, because in one of the scenes post train crash where everybody's trying to pick up stuff, he's not in his very familiar sad clown makeup. Yeah, he's just in his civilian clothes, I guess you could say. And somebody says to him, "Hey, Emmett, fix this or grab this or do something."
I will say,
I had to stop the film. I stopped the film and went to Google and said, Emmett Kelly without makeup. It's just to go, okay, yeah, that's the same guy.
There's also, I caught him breaking. There's also a moment he's doing a scene with Jimmy Stewart where they're falling on each other. And towards the end of the scene, Jimmy Stewart falls on him. And Emmett Kelly laughs. you can see it. Like, holy shit, Jimmy Stewart just fell on me. Kind of laugh. But other than that, like, it's very long. It's monotonous. I don't know that we're going to get anything worse in this Oscar Decade Cavalcade, but we're going to try. Oh, we're going to try.
Coming up next. Next week.
Coming up next week on Generation Movie, our Oscar Decade Cavalcade, we're going to stay in the 50s. We're going to go around the world in 80 days with David Niven and Shirley MacLaine.
Cantinflas.
And
now this is the movie that actually coined the term cameo appearance.
Yeah, this is where they coined cameos because there's so many cameos. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I was doing. Wait till we get to next week. What was nominated against it? It might be a bigger week than this week. Holy shit. But with that, where can people find your stuff, Rich?
All of my writing can be found at filmbuffonline.com. I've got, we also have a Facebook page as well. You can find me on the socials at FilmbuffRich on Blue Sky, Twitter, and occasionally Threads when I remember that I have an account there.
A couple of things. Circus movies today, meh. Functionally illiterate. I like it, laugh out loud. JW now hates it. I don't hate Cecil B. DeMille. I just think this is a poor example of his work. Is the best way to describe it.
A waste of a couple of years of his
guys. I just think it's a poor representation of his work. If you like our show, if you like us talking about old-timey movies, if you like us talking about Oscar movies, and how films impact history and the history we're living in, please like and subscribe on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, X, or whatever the crazy thing the fuck is guys calling it today, Twitter, IMDb, YouTube, all those places. Also, we have another show, other shows on this network, but the one coming up tomorrow night is a very important one for the network. We would like everyone to join us to welcome the last known location folks. Danny Donnelly and Amy Teresa, star and writer of the movie, and almost the entire cast will be with us tomorrow night live at 9 p.m. on all these places. The movie is an independent movie that is burning up the charts on Tubi and all these places. Please come and visit us and join us and meet the cast and crew. I am told it is the first time they've all been together since they shot, that they will be in one place. So we're super excited about that. We have at least 7 of them. Great show, guys. Learned a bunch. Thank you, Raven. Thank you very much for joining us. No big movies coming out this week. You got a couple of little movies that might keep the momentum going. Thank you for joining us. We'll see everybody next week for Around the World in 80 Days. Wait till you see the movies that was nominated against. Holy shit. Crazy. Have a good night. Stay safe, and we'll see everybody next week.